Hey y'all, it's Jamie. Welcome back to Cottage Hodgepodge, where I share with you my sales on my eBay store. I buy and sell vintage and modern items and resell them on eBay. I've been a reseller for many years, but just opened my eBay store in June of 2021. So this is my 5th month of selling in my online store. I've sold off and on eBay, and I've had a vintage shop in an antique mall, but this is the first time to have an actual eBay store. I'm up to about 450 listings on average now, and my sales for the third week of October, the week of October 17th through 23rd, is $221.74, and my cost of goods this week was $9.76. So the first item that I sold this week was this beautiful oil painting from 1966. This was part of a lot of 8 paintings that I bought at an estate auction. They're all painted by this artist Gaylor and dated from 58 to 67, I think was the time range. I think that the artist who painted them was the homeowner. I don't think it was a collection that they got, from anywhere else. But it's really fun to look at all their paintings and see the progression over those years. This one's description is vintage oil painting, cedar trees, mountains, signed Gaylor 66, white wood frame. So it's mostly just a bunch of keywords there to get this in somebody's search. It was a really nicely done painting and would be great in many settings, but I picture it like in a cabin somewhere or something. So hopefully the person who ended up with it will enjoy it. And again, my cost was under $1 for it, and I sold it for $86.80. Next up is an item that I did not purchase specifically this item for the purpose of reselling it, but it came along in a lot of items that I did buy that are the kind of items I typically buy, which is usually vintage, mid-century kitchen items. But this one was obviously very modern. It's a Keurig K-Cup pod holder, coffee carousel. It holds 35 pods. So I went ahead and listed it just to see if I could get a little additional money from that lot. A lot of times I end up donating a bunch of the items when I buy large lots. I just kind of pick and choose the items that I want to feature in my store. But this one I thought probably had a little bit of value, and it did. It sold for $12.80. My cost was under $1 for each of the items in the lot once I went through all of them and kept the items that I wanted to sell. Okay, next up is a Linux frame. I'm familiar with Linux. I think most people are, but it's not something I've ever collected myself or had a great interest in, but I thought this one was really adorable. And I've picked up quite a few Linux pieces now, and I'm finding that there is quite a collector's market out there for Linux. So this was actually the first one, though, that I've sold. This one is a small picture frame. It's just for a 2x3 picture. But it's got these really sweet little gold flowers with pink, teal, and purple dots in the center of each of the flowers. And so I just thought it was a really cute frame. And this one, my cost of goods on each of the items in this lot was just under 50 cents. So that's my cost, and then I sold it for $22.80. And on all these items, shipping is additional. I don't really go over shipping in the videos because I do calculated shipping, so it's right on what I spend on the shipping. So I don't add that to what my total sales are and then subtract it again as an expense. I just pretty much leave it off the totals for my videos. So next is another needlepoint. I've sold several needlepoints now. So I keep picking these up at these estate auctions. I hope I continue to find them because they're doing really well for me. This one, I actually had 2 of them, and they've both sold now. This is the Last Supper, and it's really neat. It's this background, this kind of like brocade part back here is actually fabric background, and then the needlepoint is on top of it. Actually, you know what? I called this needlepoint, but I think cross stitch is the correct term for this type of needlework. So anyway, the description I had is vintage framed needlepoint, The Last Supper, Jesus and Disciples, 14 by 23 inches, and colorful is the term I used to describe the colors. And they were really, really nice, bright colors. So this is $1.15 is my cost on this one, and I sold it for $38.80. Next is 2 more ornaments from the firefighter lot, where I paid $75 for over 200 ornaments. My cost on each one ended up at 38 cents. So this lot here cost me 76 cents because I put the 2 ornaments together. This was a neat set because it was a 10 toys, like a 10 toy fire engine, and those are really popular also. So when I made the description, I made sure to include that also. So the description I used is vintage Vomage, I don't know how to pronounce that, 13ZZ Germany is the brand, Christmas ornament 10 toy fire engine, lot of 2. And I made sure to get some good pictures of all the sides. They're a little bit worn, as is pretty common with the 10 toys, but they apparently looked good to somebody, even though as I'm looking at these, my picture is awfully yellow. I think I've done a better job on photographing lately, but these sold for a total of $22.80 for both of the ornaments. And again, my cost was 76 cents. Okay, this one is adorable. I got at an estate auction, I bought an entire closet shelf, like the whole top shelf of the closet. And actually when I bought it, I didn't realize that's what it was. In the photograph that I saw, it looked like you were looking down into like a trunk or something. So when we got there, I was surprised that it was the entire top shelf. And the reason that I bought it is because there were a couple of packaged items that were new in the package that looked like vintage bedding. And so that's what caught my eye when I bid on the auction. And it was only $1 for the entire lot. And that keeps happening. I don't know if people are scared of the big lots and having to go through all that stuff, but that's my favorite thing to do. I love to dig. It's like a treasure hunt. So I've purchased several items in that lot. I can't even remember the number, probably 20 items that I ended up keeping. Some stuff I just donated, but the stuff that I kept was, I think, probably around 20 items. So my cost is next to nothing. And I ended up with 3 pairs of vintage heels and a couple vintage belts, and then 3 vintage fascinator style hats. And this is the first time I've found anything like that. So I was really excited. This is the first one to sell. It's this really cute little curved headpiece fascinator. It's my description is vintage fascinator half hat, curved headband, pearl white scroll, 1950s, 60s. I'm not sure exactly the dating, so I put both decades. It seems like everything that was in that lot from this particular lady was from around that time period. And I had found this adorable wig holder foam little mannequin head a few years ago at a garage sale. So I was excited to photograph these pieces using her. I think they're so cute. So here's a couple more pictures of this sweet little headpiece, and it went to California. And I'm hoping that they really enjoy it. I took an offer on it of $19.99. And again, my cost was well under $1. Okay, next, these are not great pictures. These are some of the very first items that I listed. This is one that I had just in my home from back when I used to buy and sell a lot of Pyrex. This is an Autumn Harvest 444 bowl, which is the largest of the Cinderella mixing bowls. It's 4 liters. And this was experimenting, learning how to use the background eraser on eBay, and did not end up with a great picture, but eventually it sold. I sold it for $15, which was an offer that I accepted. It had some condition issues, so I took a lower offer than I probably normally would have on a 444 bowl. Last up for this week is a 1972 2 Deutschmark German money from pre-Euro days when they used marks. And This one has a really cool story. My husband and I were in Germany for his 40th birthday a few years ago, and he actually bought a large lot of these Deutschmarks. And the gentleman who was running the antique store, he didn't speak English and we don't speak German, but we had a really good time negotiating with him a bit on the price of the money. My husband did. I was not that brave, but it was really neat when after we finally settled on a price for the money that he bought. The man gave us a lecture in German. We could understand a bit of it. Basically, he was telling us how great that the previous German money was, and he was not a fan of the euro. So that was a good memory that we have. And my husband decided to list a few of the duplicate items that he got in that lot. So this one sold for $2.75. And something we have learned very recently is about the eBay standard envelope shipping for items that are under 3 ounces and can ship in a flat envelope. You can use this eBay standard shipping. So we were able to charge only $1.53 on the shipping. So I think that helped get this sold, and he's gone back and changed the shipping on a bunch of his coins, and I think that's going to be really good for us. So that's a bit of new information that we learned this week, and I'm excited to get to share with you. So thanks for watching. If you enjoy these types of videos, I would love it if you'd subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up on this one, and I'll see you next week. Oh, actually, let me do a quick recap. So again, this was the week of October 17th through 23rd, and our total sales were $221.74, and our cost of goods was $9.76. Thanks so much for watching.